Hey guys, good to see you again. So this time we are talking about Calvin Klein. So this is one particular ad which we are going to concentrate about in this ad. So just take a few seconds to look through it just to familiarize yourself. This ad came out in 1994 in the Glamour magazine. So what is the product that they're talking about? The product is CK1, which is a cologne. So I'll talk about the physical attributes and what the other symbolic attributes are. So basically this is a unisex cologne. The tagline itself says it's for a man or a woman. So this is a complete break from tradition. Traditionally scents, perfumes, colognes, everything is targeted separately for males and females. There is a masculine scent, there is a feminine scent. But Calvin Klein went for complete different. Even the name says one. It's a unified product. It was sold in record stores. It was not sold in traditional stores. Then even the bottling was not a fancy bottle. It just resembled a military water bottle. The symbolic attributes is it symbolizes minimalism. So the bottle is very simple. There is nothing complicated about it. You can see the cap is just very simple cap. It symbolizes the name itself, one. It talks about unity. There is no difference. It talks about diversity. That's what the symbolic attributes of the product is. It talks about alternate culture, the grunge culture, the minimalistic feature of the bottle. Now the ads. So there is a series of ads of which we'll be looking at the main ads. So the important things about that is I'll describe the ad first. So you can see it's this ad. It's a black and white ad. It's based on a white background. There are a bunch of people standing around, of which Kate Moss is a famous heterosexual model, supermodel. So she's white, heterosexual supermodel, and she's a household name, while everybody else surrounding her is just unknown people. They're in various states of undress, they're in various states of styles. They're multicultural, there are different races, there are alternate lifestyles are there. There is an androgynous guy here, don't know, he looks like a man or a woman. Then they're unkempt. So all sorts of various people, all sorts of diversity is happening around her, and she's just standing there. This is her by the way. She's standing there bored. She's not really a part of this location. In fact, all of these people are not really coming together in this ad. In that there is no location that they could come together. They're not friends. It's just it makes very clear that they're posed together. And of course, there is no mention of the product's attribute. The ad is getting a bit cut off there, but yeah, as you can see, the product is shown, but it's not mentioned how the product smells or how you can use it or how it will make you feel. Nothing like that. The product is just shown so that we know the ad is about Calvin Klein. Now let's analyze the ad. So why is it black and white? And it's also disjointed. You can see in this ad, this part is a different picture, this part is a different picture. So it's just taken two pictures and added it together. So why has it done that? So basically what they want to say is, like Divi's group just now said, photos are, they're not really realistic. They're all posed. So what they want to do is they want to show that this is actually a posed photograph. They could have gone for a color photograph to show that, to show something else. But here what they're showing is that this is a photograph. These are posed people. These are not something which is happening naturally. They want to show that this is a photo. The black and white obviously brings out the artsy status. So a connection to art. It invokes a symbolic aspect. It wants people to think about the symbolic aspect of this photo. Now, the multicultural, multiracial and other aspects of this photo. So initially it appears to break down the racial barrier, the gender stereotypes, etc. But in reality what's actually happening is that it's just allowing the user or allowing the consumer, viewer to just consume these differences while not losing their own identity. So there is Kate Moss in the center anchoring the ad. She's there, you can go through her and just view all the differences happening. You need not lose your own identity, you have your own white identity. And in fact, this one interesting thing is this ad is not targeted at all the various races and various alternate lifestyles. So because if you target that, that's a very small market in the US. Instead, it is targeted to the normal white heterosexual target segment. So there are two categories in this ad clearly. There is one which is a normal, which is considered normal, which is Kate Moss, and she's surrounded by the others. Everything else which is different from her. The homosexual, the blacks, the Mexicans, the grungy groups, everything else. So there is the difference is that she's individual. There's just one individual in her, while everything else is clubbed together as a single. There is no individual expression. You don't see what is unique about that black lady. So in fact what happens is that it does nothing to challenge homophobia or racism. In fact it's just propagating stereotypes. All these people are just stereotypes. So this ad is basically just maintaining the status quo. Now the ad is actually stylistically, it's very similar to a photo called Andy Warhol and the Factory Gang taken by somebody called, I forgot the name. So what it does is it's that part, by the way, not this part. So what it tries to do is that it is superimposing one icon, Andy Warhol. We talked about that in the class, I talked about it in the class. So it's superimposing Andy Warhol onto this product. So it's saying that, like how Andy Warhol is an icon, our product is an icon. So that is one sort of example of that. Now what actually happens in this ad? So in this ad, they're using images and style of rebellion to mark their product. So all the rebellious thing we all go through a phase in the teenage years where we rebel against the man, we rebel against the parent. So that's their target market. They're targeting the white heterosexual target groups who are in a rebellious state. So what there's actually a paradox in marketing. So consumers buy mass product goods to symbolize non-conformity. So there's actually a statement which says that consuming brand names to differentiate yourself. So that Devraj Group actually had the Apple 1984 ad. In that what they're saying use our product, be different. But it's just a mass-produced product. There is no difference. So there's a paradox. People are buying a mass-produced brand name product to become different. Another ad is Samsung iSheep ad. It's a recent ad in which they released it for the Galaxy S3. So that what they're saying is don't be like iSheep using iPhone, use our product. What's the difference? Both the same product, both are manufactured in China, both are manufactured in mass, but that's how they're positioning themselves, that they're different. And people buy it to be different. So the idea is that it's easier to buy a product and then get its reflected glory rather than to actually change your lifestyle, actually become what the product represents.
So though this ad came up in 1984, so 1994, Calvin Klein started using scandals for marketing ever since 1970s. So in 1979 there was an ad showing Brooke Shields, who was then only 14 years old, in a sexually suggestive poses like the ones there. And so later they used younger actors in ads leading to charges of child pornography like this. So if you ask me, there was no need of showing children in such poses even now. So let us see as scandals as marketing tools. So not just recent marketing, but if you look at art history as a whole, there has been use of scandals for the purpose of marketing. So this 1863 painting of Picnic on the Grass. So this was one of the first of its kind, which showed people hanging out and a woman is naked. So this was called Picnic on the Grass. So it shocked the public, and the painter who painted this man, he became a household name after that. So the purpose was served basically. And he later painted one more painting called Olympia, showing a nude prostitute. And so one more example is how people use scandals for marketing is in art history. Is Alfred Jarry, who was he was a playwright. So he wrote a play called Ruby Roy, which was a satirical play against the bourgeoisie, how they greed and power. He shows how they greed and power, and it was banned immediately after the first show. So let us look at certain examples. So the first one is this ice cream. So this is how they related ice cream and religion somehow. So Antonio Frederici ice cream. So the theme of their ads was ice cream is a religion. So what it showed was Catholic priests and nuns were getting intimate. So the most controversial was the pregnant nun eating ice cream. So pregnant nun eating ice cream. So you can figure out it for yourself. So the tagline for the pregnant nun was immaculately conceived. So it was a mockery on the virgin birth of Jesus. And so this ad campaign happened when Pope Benedict was visiting London. So there were billboards put up all over Westminster Abbey to show that. So this was how they used religion to create a scandal and sell their ice cream. And the next one is Lady Gaga. So all of us know who Lady Gaga is. So she shot to fame less with her music and more with her fashion sense. And so she's the richest star under 30. And so all of her singles are #1 chart busters, and she was influenced by people like Madonna and MJ. So let us look how Lady Gaga operates. So she uses shock and controversies to get attention. So the theme of most of her songs is sex, violence, and power. So she was involved in many controversies. So if you type Lady Gaga in Google, the next word that comes up is controversy. So the dress she wore here, which is the Kanra. So when she played this show, there was a event in America where there was shooting in an institute and students were killed. So she made it like a continuation to that. And the main dress I showed here. So there was protest. So she was attending an MTV video, MTV Music Award function. There was no need for wearing a dress made of meat. So there were protests from annual groups, and what she said was the meat dress somehow represented her bisexuality. I don't know how. And some of the other controversies were her support to the lesbian, gay, bisexual and transgender, which is also a very burning topic, so in United States at least. And next, her support to the immigration. So when she was performing in Mexico, all of a sudden she was interested in the anti-immigration laws of United States, and she condemned the laws just to sell more tickets, I guess. And in a recent single, she sexualized Muslim women, and she wore a burqa which was transparent. So whenever she comes up on the TV, like Alan Show or the Oprah Winfrey Show, what she talks about is bisexuality and all of this. So Himanshu.
Now next task is to conceptualize a way in which we like this scandals can be used to gain popularity. So we've seen in the Indian context, the Indian actors and actresses have been using these scandals to either gain popularity for themselves or their brands or movies. So Akshay Kumar was endorsing Levi's unbuttoned jeans collection. It's a very normal jeans collection, but then what happened was on one day on the ramp walk, he got the jeans unbuttoned in front of the entire media, and that's how this collection shot to fame. This one, Shilpa Shetty, after this Big Brother incident, she got a lot of offers from the movies, from movie directors and all. Before that, we saw there was a long period in her career, and the central figure. I'm sure, how many of you would be knowing who Poonam Pandey is? Almost everybody, right? So, and how many of you knew Poonam Pandey before the World Cup? Before her playing at the World Cup? Hardly. Just one. Alright, so this is from a model to a supermodel. Whatever she did, just through one scandal, she was able to, step up that way without any showing any sort of talent or anything. So a way that we think that could be conceptualized could be, say movie stars could use one of these things to regain fame. So something like Susmita Sen could, since she's a respected actress, she could talk about, she could conduct a press conference and talk about premarital sex or even say any hot topic in the media. And so Malaika Arora could do an item song because she's been in movies for a long time, so she could do an item song and shoot to fame like that. Now, what are the advantages that they receive from this? So one biggest advantage is PR, the publicity that they get through media. The second is the market value or the brand value that they have. If they're asked to do a movie for X rupees, after a scandal or something, their value jumps to 2x, 3x times. And the third could be their status among their rivals. It's a hugely competitive market. So they step up their position in this hugely competitive market. Now, in order to give it a name, give this communication strategy a name, we would like to call it controversial and unconventional communication strategy. So these are some of the ways or the factors how it can be propagated. And this is one campaign by Benetton, a very famous campaign by Benetton, in which it tries to show the presidents of various countries kissing each other, which is absolutely against the social code prevalent in many countries, especially the US, so it's not very common. But Benetton tried to do it and propagate this campaign, and that's why, like, this strategy is called, the roots of this strategy is rises from controversies and unconventional topics. So, yeah, that's all.